serve you all as President of Baptist Together for this season. And as I draw this period to a close, I want to first start by acknowledging that I could not have done this role without so many other people's help and support. So forgive me if I just give a few shouts out, and I'm not going to mention many names because I'll miss someone off and then they'll go on social media and complain about it. But the first is my regional colleagues and regional ministers from across all the associations that have supported me. And I can't let him get away without making it known that it's Phil Barnard's birthday today either. And it's a big one. So there's that. For all the staff at Baptist House that make things happen, for their support and through all the times I've panicked and not known what I'm doing, but in the moments they've offered leadership and support. Thank you. And I also want to thank the MBA for releasing me to have this time to do this. I genuinely would not have been able to do this role without the support of my accountability group, praying for me and holding me accountable. So the theme of building a bigger table has provided an opportunity to think about putting hospitality at the center of our mission and life together as a movement. When I began my year, 13 months, I said to the assembly, I accept that some of you may not want to hear from me because of my age, gender, or perceived theology. But I would like you to know, sisters and brothers, even if you don't want to hear from me, I would love to listen to you. I've continued to invite us to connect over this year and join us in conversation. Over the course of the year, I've connected with 49 different expressions of church and missional communities. I've had the honor of spending time with NHS chaplains. I've spent time with pioneers from different associations who are seeking to put Jesus right at the heart of the communities they live and serve. I've attended church meetings online and on-site. I personally this year have been challenged about the tables that I'm prepared to sit at. I was challenged in particular with the invite to the coronation. I had to get that in there somewhere. I've seen how churches have used community gardens as a way to provide in those areas to offer a space of well-being for their communities. I've been invited to share with 7 of our 13 associations in their ministers' conferences. And I've just about forgiven the NWBA for putting me in room 101. As well as being in conferences and buildings, it's been amazing to get outdoors and share with churches that gather in forests, seeking God in our outdoor spaces. It's been amazing to see so many people, churches, missional communities that have embraced building a bigger table. I've seen so many different creative ways of moving tables and demonstrating this in different contexts. Building a bigger table has connected with so many of you because you've already been doing it so well in your context for years. And it was a joy to join with Pippin's Cafe, where all are served and all serve, creating a space for the community. In representing the Baptist movement, I've got to hang out in some interesting places. I've had the privilege to share with Baptist leaders in stipended ministry and those serving in leadership teams at Fresh Streams. I've sat with many of you from across the movement and shared communion, but there was one special sacred moment in the back room of a pub just outside of Bristol, similar to ones I frequented when I was a student. I have loved seeing how children in our movement have embraced building a bigger table. At this church in the Central Baptist Association, a little boy came up to me, showing me so proudly the Lego table he had made, and he said this: "Everyone's at the table, and there's even space for Green Goblin." Being with you all in your local context has been a highlight of this year. Seeing how many churches have sought to engage in their communities, genuinely wrestling with what it means to create space for others in your context. Although, if I'm honest, I do need a detox from singing Wren Collective's Build Your Kingdom, Matt Mayher's Bigger Table, and Stuart Town's Vagabonds. Sorry, worship team, if you've prepped those for later. I've engaged with 3 of our Baptist colleges and spent time online with the Small Churches Network. This year, I sought to raise money for Home Mission by gathering some people together to walk the Yorkshire Three Peaks. And although I was unable to complete the challenge, I am so proud of the team that came together from across our movement to walk for Home Mission. To hold you regularly in prayer has been a privilege, and for those that have shared your stories and requests with me, thank you for trusting me with those stories. Building a bigger table was about listening, learning, knowing, hearing, and respecting. I've discovered that some of us are really up for that, and I could share many more stories. However, it has been disappointing that some have sought to put an agenda on that and close spaces to myself and others. As I've listened across the movement, I have heard the need to be seen in your local context, the strain and toll ministry and mission is taking, the desire to put ministers, chaplains, and pioneers' well-being at the very heart of association life, the hope in a future for the church that's authentic and caring for all communities. I have seen so many are serving their local context, which has taken on a real depth from traditional church to fresh expressions, bringing people to the wholeness of the good news of Jesus. In all the joys of the year, there have been times where I have felt defeated and disrespected. And it can be painful. It can be very painful to be on the receiving end of comments that people make in the name of correct theology. However, I have attempted to continue to serve the movement in the places where I've not always been welcomed. And I remain determined that I will not let it distract me or others from building a bigger table and making space for those that we do not regularly hear from. For me, building a bigger table was about embracing the unity of Christ in our local context and in our national movement. So Tim, as our incoming president, and Steve as vice president, may I encourage you to make every effort to maintain the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. Tim and Steve, I encourage you in these next 2 years that you seek to know the names and stories of all the people in our movement and not just their labels. I encourage you to create space of compassion in order to share the good news of Jesus. My hope in a time of listening to each other in our movement is that we may truly listen and not just shout from the sidelines. My hope is that we will continue to create Jesus-focused communities locally, regionally, nationally, and online. Let me remind you of the words of Bonhoeffer. The person who loves their dream community will destroy community, but the person who loves those around them will create community. My hope is our communities will not be built on our agendas that keep people out, but they will be based on truly loving the ones that God has placed around us. As a millennial minister, I don't know if I've mentioned that over this year, but as a millennial minister, I hope that we can truly listen to each other, hear each other's hearts, know Christ in each other, respect each other, and learn from each other. Although this year has brought its challenges and joys, the meeting of different people and visiting amazing places means it has been an awesome privilege to serve the Baptist movement. And it's been an honor to walk with you in this role as you grow healthy churches, missional communities, and chaplaincy placements in relationship with God's mission. Thank you.